People always said marriage needed luck. I never believed that. I believed it needed patience, honesty, and two people who refused to quit. I was just an ordinary man with an ordinary job, but I loved my wife with everything I had. Even when life became difficult, I kept telling myself, love survives storms. For the last year, Emily had changed. She smiled less. She talked less. She looked at me like I was someone she used to know. Still, I refused to believe our marriage was dying. One Monday evening, I walked into the kitchen carrying her favorite flowers. "These were on sale," I said with a grin. "Guess the universe wanted me to spoil you." She barely looked up. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to. They're just flowers." Her words stung, but I forced another smile. "I know. I just thought they might make you happy." "They won't." The room became painfully quiet. I placed the flowers on the counter anyway. "It's work, isn't it?" I asked softly. "You've been under so much pressure." She folded her arms. "If that's what you want to believe, I want to help. You always want to fix everything. I thought that's what husbands do." She sighed. "I'm tired." "So am I. I admit it, but we'll get through this." She didn't answer. That silence hurt more than any argument. The next afternoon, my best friend Ryan stopped by. He slapped my shoulder. "How's married life?" I laughed awkwardly. "Better days have existed." He looked toward the hallway. "You two still fighting?" "We're not really fighting." "Then what's wrong?" "I don't know anymore." Ryan shook his head. "Women go through phases." "I hope you're right. You've always been the patient one." "I made promises." "So did she." His answer felt strange. Before I could ask what he meant, Emily entered the room. Ryan smiled. "Hey, Emily." "Hi." "You look tired." "I am." Ryan glanced at me. "Give her space." "I've been trying." Emily grabbed a glass of water. "I have things to finish." She disappeared upstairs. Ryan watched her leave. "You okay?" "I just miss her." "You can't force someone to change." "I know." He nodded slowly. "Whatever happens, you'll survive." I frowned. "That's an odd thing to say." He quickly laughed. "I mean, everyone survives hard times." "I guess." Something about his expression bothered me. I couldn't explain why. 3 days later, everything changed. Emily asked me to come home early. Her message was short. "We need to talk." My stomach twisted during the drive. I kept thinking maybe she wanted counseling. Maybe she wanted vacation. Maybe she was finally ready to tell me what had been hurting her. Instead, I walked into the dining room and saw a stack of papers waiting on the table. Emily sat across from them. Ryan stood beside the window. I looked from one face to the other. "What's going on?" Emily pushed the papers toward me. "I want a divorce." The words echoed inside my head. I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "I don't want this marriage anymore." I stared at the documents. "This isn't funny. I'm not joking." I looked at Ryan. "You knew." He avoided my eyes. You knew." Emily interrupted. "Leave him out of this." "How can I?" I asked. "He's my best friend." Ryan finally spoke. "I'm sorry." I laughed bitterly. "Sorry for what?" Nobody answered. I picked up the papers with shaking hands. My name, her name, lawyer's signature. Everything was already prepared. "You planned all this?" "Yes." "For how long?" "It doesn't matter." "It matters to me." She looked away. "I've made my decision." I searched her face for some sign of doubt, some regret, some love. There was nothing. I whispered, "Was I really that bad?" She closed her eyes. "This isn't about being good or bad." "Then tell me what it's about." "I don't love you anymore." Every word felt like another crack inside my chest. I wanted to argue. I wanted to beg. I wanted to remind her of every promise we had ever made. Instead, I noticed something. Ryan looked nervous. Emily kept glancing toward him, just for a second, just long enough for my heart to understand what my mind refused to accept. I didn't have proof, only a feeling, a terrible feeling. I took a slow breath. Emily finally spoke again. Well, you expected me to fight. I expected you to react. I looked down at the papers. Then I smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was a smile of someone who had suddenly realized the battle was already over. Without saying another word, I picked up the pen. I signed the first page, then the second, then every page after that. The scratching sound of the pen filled the room. When I finished, I pushed the papers back across the table. Emily's eyes widened. That's it? That's it. You aren't going to stop me? I can't stop someone who already left. Ryan swallowed hard. Neither of them expected this. I stood, walked upstairs, and opened the closet. I ignored the expensive things. Instead, I picked up one small wooden box. Inside were old movie tickets, birthday cards, our wedding photo, and the first letter Emily had ever written to me. I carried the box downstairs. Emily looked at it. You're only taking that? It's all that's still mine. I walked to the front door. My hand rested on the handle. For one final moment, I looked back. Neither of them spoke. Neither of them tried to stop me. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me, and wondered whether I had just lost the woman I loved or escaped a lie I had never been meant to see. My new apartment was small enough that every sound echoed. The silence was worse. I dropped my wooden memory box beside the couch and stared at the empty walls. This is home now. I whispered. Nobody answered. The next morning, my phone rang. Lily. I answered. Hey. You sound terrible, my younger sister said. I've been better. I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already outside. A minute later, she stepped inside, carrying coffee and breakfast. She looked around. You weren't kidding. I forced a smile. It's enough. No, she said quietly. It's all you could afford after the divorce. I'll be okay. She placed the coffee in front of me. You don't have to pretend with me. I looked away. I keep thinking I should have fought harder. For Emily? For us. Lily shook her head. No. What do you mean? You weren't the problem. You don't know that. I know more than you think. I frowned. What are you talking about? She hesitated. I never liked Ryan. I sighed. Not this. I'm serious. He's been my best friend for years. I know. Then why say something like that? Because every time I visited your house, he watched Emily more than he watched you. I laughed without humor. You're imagining things. I'm not. Lily. He always found excuses to stop by. Friends visit. He always knew when you were working late. Coincidence. He remembered Emily's favorite coffee but forgot your birthday. I stayed silent. She continued. I wanted to tell you before. Why didn't you? You looked happy. I wasn't. You believed you were. I rubbed my forehead. I can't think like this. I'm not asking you to hate him. Then what? I'm asking you to stop blaming yourself. After she left, her words refused to leave my mind. I opened the wooden box. Inside was my old phone. The screen barely turned on. I scrolled through years of messages. At first, everything looked normal. Then I noticed something strange. Ryan had texted me one Friday. Running late tonight. Can't make dinner. Asterisk, asterisk. That same evening. Emily had told me she was visiting a friend. Back then, I never questioned it. Now I did. I kept scrolling. Another message. You should surprise Emily with flowers today. I smiled sadly. He always knew exactly when to encourage me. Another conversation appeared. Emily had asked me, what time will you finish work? 2 minutes later, Ryan had texted me. Busy tonight? I froze. Why would he need to know? I searched through old photos stored in the cloud. Thousands of memories. Vacations. Birthdays. Family dinners. Then I noticed one picture. Ryan stood behind Emily at a barbecue. His hand rested on her back. Too comfortable. Too natural. I zoomed in. Emily was smiling at him. Not at me. Another photo. Their eyes met while everyone else looked at the camera. Another. Little moments I had ignored. Now they screamed at me. I dropped the phone onto the couch. No. I whispered. No. My chest tightened. Every memory felt different. Every laugh sounded fake. Every holiday suddenly looked like a performance. Days passed. I barely slept. Every answer created 10 new questions. One afternoon, I decided to leave the apartment. I needed fresh air. I walked through downtown without thinking. People laughed around me. Music played from nearby cafes. Life continued. Mine felt frozen. As I crossed the street, I heard a familiar laugh. I turned. My heart stopped. Emily, Ryan, they sat together outside a restaurant. She reached across the table and held his hand. He smiled. She laughed. The same laugh she hadn't given me in months. Ryan brushed a strand of hair away from her face. She didn't stop him. Instead, she leaned closer. "I've missed this," she said. "I told you we'd be happier," Ryan replied. Only days. Only days after our divorce. Not months. Not years. Days. I stood behind a parked car, unable to breathe. Every doubt disappeared. Lily had been right. The divorce wasn't the beginning. It was the ending of something they had already started. Ryan looked around. For one terrifying second, I thought he saw me. He didn't. Emily reached for his hand again. "I don't regret anything," she said. "Neither do I." Those words cut deeper than the divorce papers ever had. I could have walked over. I could have shouted. I could have demanded answers. Instead, I stayed where I was. What would change? Would they suddenly become honest? Would they return the months they stole? Would they erase every lie? No. I turned around. My legs felt heavy. Every step hurt. But I kept walking. Behind me, they kept laughing. Ahead of me, the street stretched into the distance. For the first time since signing those papers, I finally understood the truth. Emily hadn't left because I failed as a husband. Ryan hadn't betrayed me because I deserved it. They made their choices long before I knew. Their happiness had been built on dishonesty. Their smiles had hidden betrayal. As painful as the truth was, it also set me free. I wasn't the man who lost his marriage because he wasn't enough. I was the man who trusted people who never deserved that trust. That realization broke my heart. But somewhere beneath the pain, I felt something else. The smallest spark of strength. Maybe my story wasn't ending. Maybe it was finally beginning. The days after seeing Emily and Ryan together felt endless. I stopped answering calls. I ignored messages. Even the mirror became my enemy. Every morning I asked myself the same question. What did I do wrong? The silence never answered. One evening, Lily knocked on my apartment door. "You forgot to eat again." "I'm not hungry." "That's a lie. I'm just tired." She stepped inside, carrying 2 bags of groceries. "You can't survive on coffee forever. I'll figure out." "No," she said firmly. "You'll destroy yourself." I sat on the couch. I trusted the wrong people. That doesn't mean everyone is the wrong person. It feels that way. She sat beside me. "You know what Dad used to say?" I smiled faintly. "Pain is a teacher." "Exactly. I hate that lesson." "So does everyone." She squeezed my shoulder. "But you still have to learn it." After she left, I stared at the ceiling for hours. I realized I had spent years trying to become the husband Emily wanted. I never asked who I wanted to become. The next morning, I forced myself outside. I walked without any destination. Eventually, I found myself standing in front of a small office building. A sign near the entrance read, "Carter Industrial Solutions." Employees carried boxes to the front door. Some looked frustrated. Others looked exhausted. Without thinking, I walked inside. The receptionist looked up. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for work." "Do you have an appointment?" "No." She smiled politely. "I'm sorry." Before I could leave, an older man walked past us. He stopped. "Who are you?" I turned. "My name is—" He raised a hand. "I ask who you are, not what you're called." The question caught me off guard. I'm someone looking for a second chance." He studied me carefully. "What experience do you have?" I told him about my previous job. He nodded. "Come with me." The receptionist looked surprised. "So am I hired?" He chuckled. "Not yet." Inside his office, he pointed toward a chair. "Sit." I obeyed. He leaned back. My name is Mr. Carter. It's nice to meet you. I've seen many faces. I imagine you have. Most people walk into my office trying to impress me. I don't have the energy for that. I noticed. He folded his hands. What happened to you? I hesitated. My wife left me. And my best friend left with her. And I frowned. Isn't that enough? No. His answer surprised me. He continued. They hurt you? Yes. But who are you without them? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. He smiled slightly. Exactly. After a long silence, he spoke again. My company is struggling. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't need sympathy. I wasn't offering pity. Good. He stood. I need people willing to work harder than everyone else. I can do that. I don't care about confidence. I've lost most of mine. I know. I care about determination. I still have that. He nodded. I can see it. I blinked. You walked in here with tired eyes. I did. But you still walked in. I finally understood. He wasn't looking at my pain. He was looking beyond it. So he asked, do you want a job? I do. The pay isn't impressive. I don't care. The hours are long. I don't care. You'll fail. I probably will. You'll make mistakes. I've already made plenty. He laughed. Report tomorrow morning. Thank you. Don't thank me. For what? You haven't earned anything yet. The first week was brutal. I stacked inventory. I organized files. I made mistakes almost every day. One afternoon I sighed. I'm sorry. Mr. Carter looked at me. For what? I keep messing up. He handed me another folder. Then fix it. You're not angry? Why would I be? I failed. You quit? No. Then you didn't fail. Those words stayed with me. Every day became a little easier. Every mistake became another lesson. Every challenge reminded me that I was still capable of growing. One evening, while leaving work, my phone buzzed. A social media notification appeared. Emily and Ryan had posted another smiling picture together. My thumb hovered over the screen. Then I remembered Mr. Carter's question. Who are you without them? I closed the app. Then I deleted it. I don't need this anymore. I whispered. The next morning, Mr. Carter noticed something different. You look lighter. I made a decision. What decision? I've spent enough time watching people who stopped caring about me. And now I'm going to care about myself. He smiled. That's the first smart thing you've told me. I laughed. I'll try to improve. You will. How do you know? Because people who keep showing up usually surprise themselves. For the first time in years, I believe that might be true. I stopped measuring my worth by Emily's love. I stopped wondering whether Ryan regretted betraying me. Their choices no longer control my future. I still carried scars. I still had lonely nights. But every sunrise gave me another chance to become someone stronger than the man who would walk away carrying only a wooden box. This time, I wasn't rebuilding a marriage. I was rebuilding myself. 6 months changed me more than 6 years ever had. Every morning I arrived before everyone else. Every evening I left after most of the lights were off. Work had become more than a paycheck. It had become proof that I could still build something. One morning, Mr. Carter walked into the office carrying a thick folder. He placed it on my desk. I've got a job for you. I looked up. The warehouse project? He smiled. Bigger. I opened the folder. This is a Hamilton account. It is. You trust me with this? I wouldn't hand it to you otherwise. I won't let you down. I know. I laughed. You sound more confident than I am. That's because I've watched you. Watch me fail. I watch you get back up. Before I could answer, someone knocked on the office door. A young woman stepped inside, carrying a laptop. Dad, the meeting starts in 20 minutes. Mr. Carter nodded. I'll be there. Then he looked at me. This is my daughter, Sophia. She smiled warmly. So you're the employee Dad keeps talking about. I raised an eyebrow. I hope. He only shares the good stories. She laughed. He mostly talks about your stubbornness. I'll accept that. She offered her hand. It's nice to finally meet you. You too. Mr. Carter pointed toward the conference room. Both of you will handle this project together. Sophia looked surprised. Together? That's right. She turned toward me. Ready? I've been ready for months. She grinned. Good answer. Working with Sophia felt different from anything I had experienced before. She listened. She respected ideas. She admitted mistakes without blaming anyone. One afternoon, she noticed me staring at a report. Something bothering you? I keep expecting everything to fall apart. Because of work? No. She nodded slowly. I understand. I doubt that. You'd be surprised. I looked at her. She smiled gently. Everyone here has scars. For the first time, I believed her. While my life slowly improved, rumors about Emily and Ryan occasionally reached me through old friends. I ignored most of them. Then one afternoon, Lily called. I heard something. I'm not interested. Just listen. I sighed. Okay. Ryan owes money. How much? I don't know. How do you know? A friend works at the bank. I hope it's just gossip. So do I. After hanging up, I returned to work. For once, I didn't spend hours thinking about Emily. My future mattered more than her choices. A week later, Mr. Carter introduced me to a man waiting in the lobby. This is Daniel. The man crossed his arms. You work here? I do. He nodded. I'm looking for someone else. Who? Ryan. The name caught me off guard. I haven't spoken to him in months. Dayton Insight. Figures. Why? He disappears whenever it's time to pay. What does he owe you? A lot. I'm sorry. So am I. Daniel walked away without another word. I stood there quietly. Something told me Lily's rumor had been true. That evening, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I answered. Hello. A familiar voice whispered. It's me. I froze. Emily. Yes. What do you want? Can we talk? I don't think that's a good idea. Please. No. I just need 5 minutes. You had years. She stayed silent. Finally, she spoke again. I made mistakes. I know. I want to explain. What could you possibly say? I wasn't thinking clearly. You seemed very certain when you handed me those papers. I know. You seemed happy. Another long silence. Then I heard her breathing shake. Things aren't what I expected. I closed my eyes. They rarely are. Ryan has changed. I almost laughed. Or maybe you're finally seeing him. He gets angry all the time. I didn't answer. He controls everything. Still, I stayed quiet. He wasn't like this before. Maybe he was. I don't know anymore. You made your choice. I regret it. Those words would have destroyed me months earlier. Now they felt strangely empty. Can we meet? She asked. No. Just once. No. Please. I hope you find peace, Emily. What about us? There is no us. I ended the call. The screen went dark. I expected sadness. Instead, I felt calm. Real, peaceful calm. Sophia walked into my office a few minutes later. You look different. Do I? You look lighter. I smiled. I think I finally put something down. What was it? A weight I carried too long. She nodded. Good. That night, I sat alone on my apartment balcony. The city lights stretched across the distance. Months ago, I would have spent hours wondering if Emily missed me. Now I wondered how I could improve tomorrow's presentation. It felt like freedom. Not because Emily was suffering. Not because Ryan's problems were growing. Because my happiness no longer depended on either of them. Some people think healing happens in one big moment. For me, it happened in small choices. Showing up to work. Learning from mistakes. Trusting good people again. Refusing one phone call. Choosing silence instead of arguments. Those tiny decisions slowly rebuilt the man I thought I had lost. Somewhere across the city, Emily was living the life she had chosen. Ryan was facing debts he had hidden for too long. Their perfect dream was beginning to crack under the weight of lies. I didn't celebrate. I didn't wish them more pain. I simply accepted something I had never understood before. Not every broken thing needs to be repaired by the person who was hurt. Sometimes the strongest thing I could do was walk forward without looking back. And for the first time since my marriage ended, I realized I no longer needed Emily's apology to continue living my life. I had already given myself something far more valuable: permission to move on. The Hamilton Project became the biggest challenge of my career. Every morning, Sophia and I met before the rest of the team arrived. She opened her laptop. "Coffee, please." She handed me a cup. "You still look too serious." "I've always looked like this." "I don't believe that." "You don't?" "No. I think someone convinced you to stop smiling." I looked out the window. "Maybe." She didn't ask for details. She simply changed the subject. "Let's finish this proposal." I smiled. "Deal." Working with Sophia felt easy, not because the work was simple, because she never turned every conversation into a competition. One afternoon, I made a mistake in the financial report. I missed a number. I admitted. She looked at the page. "Then let's fix it." "You're not upset?" "Why would I be?" I slowed us down. "We're partners." "I should have caught it." "You caught it now." I laughed. "You make everything sound simple." "It usually is." "Not always." "No," she agreed. "But honesty makes hard things easier." Those words stayed with me. Emily used to hide problems until they exploded. Sophia faced them the moment they appeared. The difference was impossible to ignore. A few days later, Mr. Carter called us into his office. He folded his hands. "The client loved your presentation." Sophia smiled. I knew he would. Mr. Carter looked at me. "You've grown." "I've had a good teacher." He pointed at himself. I wasn't talking about me. Sophia laughed. "He means you finally believe in yourself." "I guess I do." "Good," Mr. Carter said. "Don't lose that." Life slowly settled into a peaceful rhythm. Work, home, family dinners with Lily once a week. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for disaster. Then one evening, Lily called. "You won't believe this." "What happened?" "Emily asked about you." I sighed. "Why?" "She heard about your promotion." "I hope she's doing okay." Lily sounded surprised. "You're not angry?" I was. "And now?" "I'm tired of carrying anger." She stayed quiet. "I think she regrets everything," Lily whispered. "Regret can't change the past." "I know." Neither of us said another word. The following week, Sophia and I attended a business networking event. As we entered the ballroom, she smiled. "Nervous?" "A little." "You'll be fine." "I've never liked events like this." "Then stay close." "I can do that." We spent the evening meeting clients and business owners. Everything went smoothly until I heard a familiar voice behind me. "I didn't expect to see you here." I turned. Ryan. He wore an expensive suit, but the confidence I remember was gone. "Hello, Ryan." He forced a smile. "So, you're pretending to be successful now?" "I'm just doing my job." He laughed loudly, making sure people nearby could hear. "Careful, everyone." Several guests looked over. This guy loves taking credit for other people's work. I stared at him calmly. He continued. "I've known him for years." Someone asked, "Really?" Ryan nodded. "He talks big, but don't trust everything he says." The room became uncomfortably quiet. Months ago, I would have defended myself immediately. This time, I simply looked at him. "Are you finished?" His smile faded. "That's all you've got?" Before I could answer, Sophia stepped forward. "I have something to say." Ryan looked at her. "And who are you?" "I'm the person who has worked beside him every day for months." She faced the crowd. "I've watched him arrive before everyone else." She pointed toward me. "I've watched him stay late without complaining." She smiled. "I've watched him admit every mistake instead of hiding them." Ryan crossed his arms. "Anyone can make up stories." Sophia shook her head. "I don't need stories." She looked around the room. Our company trusted him with its biggest project. She paused. He earned that trust. Mr. Carter joined us. I agree. Ryan looked uncomfortable. Mr. Carter continued. I built my business over 30 years. He placed a hand on my shoulder. I don't gamble my company's future on dishonest people. Several guests nodded. One client smiled at me. I've heard excellent things about your work. Another added, your presentation last month was impressive. Ryan looked from one face to another. Nobody believed him. His confident expression disappeared. Without another word, he turned and walked away. The conversation quickly returned to business. Sophia leaned toward me. You okay? I smiled. Better than okay. You didn't even defend yourself. I didn't have to. She nodded. The truth already did. Later that evening, we walked toward the parking lot. She looked at me. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why didn't you lose your temper? I thought for a moment. Because I finally realized something. What? I don't need everyone to believe me. She waited. I only need to live honestly. She smiled. I like that answer. So do I. A few days later, Lily called again. Emily heard what happened. I'm not surprised. She told a mutual friend she couldn't believe how much you've changed. I've changed because I had to. She said you became the man she always wanted. I looked out my office window. That's unfortunate. Why? Because she only noticed after she walked away. That evening, I drove home with the windows down. The air felt lighter than it had in years. Ryan had tried to destroy my reputation. Instead, he had damaged his own. Emily had watched my success from a distance. Instead of feeling proud beside me, she could only wonder what our life might have been. For the first time, I understood that real strength wasn't proving people wrong. It was becoming someone I could finally respect when I looked in the mirror. And that man was someone no lie could take away. Months kept moving forward. So did I. Every project taught me something new. Every challenge made me stronger. One morning, Mr. Carter called me into his office. He closed the door behind me. I have good news. I smiled. I could use some. We've been approved for the regional expansion. That's incredible. You earned it. I couldn't have done it alone. He laughed. That's the first correct answer you've given all week. Before I could reply, my phone vibrated. An unknown number flashed across the screen. I ignored it. Mr. Carter noticed. Everything all right? Probably just another sales call. Then let's get back to work. The rest of the morning passed quickly. When lunch arrived, my phone rang again. The same number. I answered. Hello. A nervous voice spoke. It's Ryan. I stayed silent. I know you don't want to hear from me. You're right. Please don't hang up. What do you want? I need your help. I almost laughed. My help? Just listen. I'm listening. I'm in trouble. I figured. It isn't what you think. It usually is. He took a deep breath. People are accusing me of things. Did you do them? It's complicated. No. What? It's not complicated. He didn't answer. I continued. If you did it, say yes. Another long silence. I made mistakes. I see. I can explain. You had plenty chances. This is different. How? They're trying to destroy me. I looked out my office window. No, Ryan. What? They're uncovering you. He lowered his voice. You have connections now. So, you can make a phone call. Why would I? Because we were friends. The words almost made me smile. I know I hurt you. You betrayed me. I'm sorry. I believe you're sorry. Then help me. No. You'd really leave me like this? I closed my eyes. You left me long before I left you. I ended the call. When I looked up, Sophia stood outside my office. She knocked gently. Bad news? Old news. She stepped inside. You don't have to tell me. I know. But thank you. That afternoon, Daniel walked into our office carrying a thick briefcase. He looked exhausted. Mr. Carter greeted him. Everything all right? Daniel shook his head. Not even close. He noticed me. You remember Ryan? I do. Daniel opened the briefcase. I finally have enough evidence. He spread several documents across the table. Loan agreements, bank transfers, forged signatures, unpaid contracts. I stared quietly. Daniel pointed at one paper. He borrowed money from business partners. Another page. He promised investments that never existed. Another. He moved funds between fake accounts. I looked at him. How long has this been happening? Years. My stomach tightened. So he planned all of it? Daniel nodded. He never intended to repay anyone. Just then another man entered the room. He showed his badge. I'm Detective Mason. He shook Mr. Carter's hand. Thank you for meeting me. Mr. Carter gestured toward the documents. Daniel has been helping. Detective Mason nodded. We've been investigating Ryan for months. I frowned. Months. We needed enough evidence. He organized the files carefully. We finally have it. I looked down at the papers. Every lie, every secret, every stolen promise. They were all there. Detective Mason looked at me. You aren't involved. I'm not. We confirmed that. I nodded. I'm glad. He smiled politely. You were one of the few people who walked away before everything collapsed. After they left, I sat alone for several minutes. Not because I felt guilty. Because I finally understood how deeply Ryan had deceived everyone around him. Later that evening, Lily called. I heard the police visited Ryan. I know. Emily found out everything. How is she? Broken. I stayed quiet. She didn't know about the debts. I believe her. She thought they were building a future. They were building lies. Lily sighed. She gave up everything. So did I. I know. The next morning, my phone rang again. Emily. I answered without speaking. She cried softly. I didn't know. I believe you. He lied to me. I know. He owes so much money. I heard. I lost everything. I closed my eyes. I understand. No, you don't. I do. I thought I chose happiness. You chose what looked easy. She sobbed. I was wrong. Yes. I don't know what to do. You'll have to face it. Can you help us? I remained silent. Please. I remembered every lonely night, every unanswered question, every lie, every smile Ryan had faked, every promise Emily had broken. Not because I wanted revenge, because I finally accepted the truth. Their decisions belonged to them. So did the consequences. I can't. Why? Because this isn't my life anymore. We're desperate. I was desperate too. She cried harder. I'm sorry. I know. I wish I could change everything. You can't. Neither could I. I quietly ended the call. That evening, I sat on my apartment balcony watching the sunset. Sophia sent a message. Long day. I smiled. Very long. She replied almost immediately. Tomorrow will be better. I looked at the orange sky above the city. For months, I thought karma meant getting even. I imagined shouting, winning, watching people suffer. Instead, karma arrived quietly. It came through truth, through evidence, through choices nobody could escape. I never needed to punish Ryan. I never needed to humiliate Emily. Life had done what anger never could. As darkness settled over the city, I felt something I once believed was impossible. Peace. Not because someone else had fallen, but because I finally understood that healing didn't require revenge. Sometimes the greatest victory was simply refusing to carry burdens that belonged to someone else. For the first time in my life, I watched justice unfold without lifting a finger. And somehow, that felt stronger than revenge ever could. The morning of the board meeting felt different, not because I was afraid, because I finally knew the truth. For weeks, I had stayed silent while Ryan laughed at me, mocked me, and treated me like I didn't belong. Today, his performance would end. I arrived at the company before anyone else. Daniel was already waiting outside the conference room. You ready? He asked. I nodded. As ready as I'll ever be. Olivia joined us a few moments later. carrying a thick case filled with documents. "Everything is organized," she said. "No surprises?" She gave me a small smile. The only surprise will be Ryan's face. The board members slowly entered the room. Some greeted me politely. Others looked confused. They had no idea why an emergency meeting had been called. Victoria walked in last. She avoided looking at me. Ryan followed beside her, wearing the same confident smile that had irritated me for weeks. He looked at me and whispered, "I hope you packed your office." I smiled. "I hope you prepared your explanation." He laughed. "I won't need one." The chairman stood. "This meeting will now begin." Ryan stood immediately. "If I may, I'd like to address the board." The chairman nodded. "Go ahead." Ryan walked to the front of the room. He connected his laptop to the screen. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "our company has suffered serious internal sabotage." A chart appeared behind him. "I've uncovered evidence proving Ethan Carter deliberately interfered with company projects." Murmurs spread around the room. Ryan continued confidently. He delayed software releases. Another slide appeared. He manipulated financial reports. Then another, and he attempted to damage the company's reputation. Several board members looked toward me. Victoria remained silent. She still couldn't meet my eyes. Ryan smiled. "I recommend Mr. Carter's immediate removal." The chairman turned toward me. "Mr. Carter, do you wish to respond?" I slowly stood. "Yes." I carried one small folder to the center of the room. "I only have one request." The chairman nodded. "Proceed." I looked directly at Ryan. "You finished speaking?" He smiled. "I have." "Good." I opened my folder, because now it's my turn. I handed the first document to every board member. "These are certified security reports." Ryan frowned. "What are you doing?" I ignored him. "The reports show every login used to access restricted company files." Daniel walked forward. "With permission?" The chairman nodded. Daniel connected his computer. I personally verified these records. A timeline appeared on the screen. Daniel pointed calmly. "Every unauthorized access came from one employee." The room became quiet. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. Daniel clicked again. "Ryan Brooks." Ryan immediately interrupted. "That's impossible." Daniel remained calm. "The system records cannot be altered without leaving evidence." Another chart appeared. They matched the building security cameras. Olivia stepped forward next. She opened another folder. "I'd like the board to review these consulting contracts." Several members examined the papers. One director frowned. "These signatures belong to Victoria." Olivia nodded. "They appear to—" Ryan smiled. "Exactly." Olivia looked directly at him. "They're forgeries." The smile disappeared from his face. She continued. "Our forensic specialist confirmed that Victoria's digital signature was copied and inserted into multiple documents." Victoria finally looked up. "What?" Olivia placed another report before her. "You never approved these final versions." Victoria stared at the pages. "I never saw this." Ryan quickly spoke. "She's lying." I looked at him, then explained the editing history. Daniel displayed another screen. The original files were modified from Ryan Brooks' company account. The chairman leaned forward. "Is that correct?" Daniel answered without hesitation. "Every edit is time-stamped." The room fell silent. Ryan pointed at Victoria. "She told me to do it." Victoria looked shocked. "No, I didn't." "You signed everything." "I trusted you." Ryan laughed nervously. "So now it's all my fault?" Olivia answered before anyone else could. "The emails say otherwise." She handed printed copies around the room. One board member read aloud, "Don't tell Victoria until the transfer is complete." Another looked at Ryan. "Care to explain that?" Ryan's confidence finally cracked. That's out of context." I spoke quietly. "No." I placed one final document on the table. "It isn't." The chairman examined it. "Witness statements?" I nodded. "Employees who watched Ryan pressure departments into approving unauthorized transactions." The chairman looked around the room. "I believe we've heard enough." Before Ryan could speak again, the conference room door opened. Two investigators walked inside. One displayed an identification badge. Ryan Brooks. Ryan stepped backward. What is this? You are being detained for questioning regarding suspected financial fraud, document forgery, and unauthorized access to corporate systems. Ryan looked desperately at Victoria. Say something. She couldn't. Tears filled her eyes. She finally whispered, Ethan tried to warn me. Neither investigator waited. They escorted Ryan toward the door. For the first time since this nightmare began, the room was completely silent. Not because anyone had lost an argument, because the truth had finally spoken louder than every lie. Almost a year had passed since I signed the divorce papers. Sometimes it felt like another lifetime. One Monday morning, I walked into the office carrying a folder. Mr. Carter looked up and smiled. You're late. I checked my watch. By 30 seconds. He laughed. I wanted to see if you still panicked. I almost did. He stood and shook my hand. Congratulations. For what? The board approved your promotion. I stared at him. They did. They voted unanimously. I smiled. I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep working hard. I will. I already knew that. We both laughed. The office no longer felt unfamiliar. The people around me weren't just co-workers. They were people who trusted me because of my actions, not my promises. Later that afternoon, Sophia knocked on my office door. Busy? Never too busy for coffee. I was hoping you'd say that. We walked to the cafe across the street. She smiled. You've changed. I hear that a lot. No. She shook her head. I don't mean your job. Then what? You don't carry the world on your shoulders anymore. I looked at my coffee. I finally realized it wasn't mine to carry. She nodded. I like this version of you. I like him, too. She laughed. I was hoping you'd say that. We sat quietly for a moment. Then she asked, Can I tell you something? Of course. I trusted you long before you trusted yourself. I smiled. Thank you. You earned it. I spent years trying to earn love. And now I earn respect. She raised her coffee cup. I'll drink to that. I raised mine. So will I. Over the next few months, our friendship slowly became something deeper. There were no dramatic speeches, no impossible promises, only honest conversations. One evening we walked through the city park. She looked at me. Are you afraid? Of what? Starting over. I thought for a moment. A little. So am I? I smiled. Good. She laughed. Good. It means we'll be honest with each other. She gently took my hand. I'd like that. So would I. Nothing about us felt rushed. For the first time in my life, trust came before love. One Sunday afternoon, Lily invited me to dinner. As soon as I walked through the door, she smiled. There it is. What? Your real smile. I laughed. I smile all the time. No. She shook her head. You used to smile because you were trying to convince everyone you were okay. And now you're actually happy. I looked around the room. I think you're right. She hugged me tightly. I always knew you'd find your way. Thank you. For what? For refusing to let me give up. You did the hard part. A few weeks later, I received another phone call. This time it was Daniel. Thought you should know. What happened? Ryan accepted a plea agreement. I closed my eyes. I figured it was coming. He'll be paying for his choices for a long time. I don't wish him harm. I know, but justice matters. Yes. It finally caught up with him. After we ended the call, I sat quietly for several minutes. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel excited. I simply accepted that every choice carries a price. Not long afterward, Lily mentioned Emily. She moved into a small apartment. I heard she's working 2 jobs. I hope she's doing well. Lily looked surprised. You mean that? I do. After everything, I already forgave her. She doesn't blame anyone anymore. I nodded. That's probably the first step. She tells people she destroyed her own marriage. I looked out the window. I hope she builds a better future. You really don't hate her. No. Holding hate would only keep me tied to the past. Lily smiled proudly. You've grown. I had no choice. One cool autumn evening, I drove to the neighborhood where my old house once felt like home. I didn't stop there. Instead, I continued toward the small park where everything had changed. The bench was still there. The trees looked taller. Children laughed nearby. Life had continued without asking anyone's permission. I sat down quietly. From my jacket pocket, I removed the same pen I had used to sign the divorce papers. I rolled it between my fingers. Back then, I thought my smile had been the smile of a broken man. Now I finally understood. It had been the smile of someone standing at the door of a new life. I opened my backpack. Inside rested the old wooden memory box. I slowly lifted the lid. The movie tickets, the birthday cards, the faded wedding photograph, the handwritten letter that once meant everything. I smiled softly. Thank you. The word surprised even me. Thank you for the good memories. Thank you for the painful lessons. Thank you for showing me the difference between love and dependence. Without those experiences, I would never have become the man I was today. I closed the lid one final time. Then I placed the box beside the bench. Not because I wanted someone else to find it, because I no longer needed to carry it. Some memories belong in the past. I stood and looked across the park. The breeze felt cool against my face. My phone buzzed. It was Sophia. Dinner at 7? I smiled. I'll be there. A second message appeared. Don't be late. I laughed quietly. I'll try. As I slipped my phone into my pocket, I looked at the bench one last time. The wooden box remained exactly where I had left it. So did the pen. I realized I didn't need either one anymore. The papers I signed had ended a marriage. They had also begun my freedom. I turned toward the parking lot. This time, I didn't stop. I didn't wonder what might have been. I didn't replay old conversations. I didn't imagine different endings. The past had already finished teaching me everything it could. My greatest revenge had never been making Emily regret her choices. It had never been watching Ryan lose everything. It had never been proving anyone wrong. My greatest revenge was becoming someone their betrayal could never destroy. As I reached my car, the sun disappeared behind the horizon. Instead of darkness, I noticed the first evening stars appearing above me. I smiled, not because life had become perfect, not because pain had never existed. I smiled because I finally understood that real justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it arrives quietly through growth, forgiveness, and another chance to become the person you were always meant to be. I started the engine and drove toward my future. This time, I never looked back.